Niharika, and today we are going to look at these confusing adverbs still, yet, and already. Well, pretty simple, however, we do get confused when we have to use it, right? So in this lesson, we are going to look at the difference. We're going to learn how to use these adverbs correctly. So we're going to start with the adverb still. Now, still is used for an action or a situation which continues to present, something which is not finished, okay? So still is used for an action okay, so it continues to the present. It indicates that something is not finished yet. And in fact, it also refers to something which is going a little longer than expected. Now, to understand this better, we are going to look at some examples here. The first example is, do you still live with your parents? Okay, so probably you expected that he may or she may have moved out, but it's a kind of a question for you wherein you end up using still to understand that whether till present he or she is living with her parents, okay? His or her parents. So do you still live with your parents? Okay, so that's exactly the reason why you have used the adverb still. Now always remember, the adverb still will be always in the middle of a sentence, okay? And it would be always followed by a verb or at times even followed by an adjective, okay? So it's going to be always okay, so most of the times it's always followed by a verb, but at times it's also followed by an adjective. Now let's look at another example here. It is still raining. So, you know, you want to go out and you see that it hasn't stopped raining yet. So you would say, oh, it is still raining. Okay, so because it is still happening, okay, it's been continued, right? And that's why you have used the adverb still. The next one, I took 2 pills, but I still have a headache. Okay, now here again you're using the adverb still. The reason because the 2 pills that you popped in has not really helped. You were having a headache and you still have a headache. So it is still being continued to the present, okay? So that's why you are using the adverb still. So I hope this is clear to you. Now let's understand, when do we use the adverb yet? Now yet is always used for questions or for negative sentences. Okay, so it's used in questions or for negative sentences. But why do we use yet? Well, yet indicates something that we expect to happen, or when we expect something that has happened. Okay. Okay, so it's when you're expecting something to have to happen or has happened, that is when you end up using the adverb yet. Now to understand this, let's look at the examples here. The first one is, they haven't met her yet. So it's quite a negative sentence if you see. They haven't met her yet, right? That's exactly the reason we end up using the adverb yet. Now remember, most of the times the adverb yet comes at the end of the sentence, okay? So it's most of the times. But you should also make a note of this, that the word or the adverb yet is always used in present perfect. Okay, so probably we can think of a question, because as I mentioned that the adverb yet is commonly used for questions or for negative sentences. So let's think of an example using yet as a question. Haven't they paid yet? Okay, so it's kind of negative, and also it's a question. So haven't they paid yet? Okay, so you are asking, and you're expecting that they might have paid or they have to pay, and that's why you are using the adverb yet at the end of a sentence. Okay, let's look at another one here. We still don't know who will be our new boss. Well, the owners haven't told us yet. So again, it's used in a very negative way because the owners haven't told us yet. But if you observe in this sentence, we have ended up using the word still, and we have ended up using the word yet. So both of these adverbs are used together in a sentence. Now, when do we use this? Well, when some action is being continued, and when you want to give a reason to it, that why it is being continued, that is when you end up using yet, okay, and still together. So if you look at the sentence here, we still don't know who will be our new boss. So you still don't know. Till present, you just have no idea who would be your new boss. Now, you want to give a reason to why you don't know that who would be your new boss. Well, it's because the owners haven't told us yet. Okay, so that is when you have ended up using the adverb yet. So to explain why the action is being continued, you tend to use yet in a sentence. Okay, so hope still and yet is clear to you. Now let's look at the adverb already. Now let's understand, when do we use the adverb already? Well, we use the adverb already to talk about things that have happened sooner than expected. Okay, so something that happens much sooner than what you expected, that is when you end up using already. Now also make a note that you use already with present perfect or past perfect. Okay, and another thing that you need to make a note of is that already goes usually in the middle of a sentence or at the end. Now, how to use it? Well, let's look at the examples here to understand this. She's fixed it already. So probably you wanted something. Probably it was your phone that you wanted it to be fixed. But then you realized that your friend fixed it for you already. So it happened much sooner than you expected it to be, right? So that is when you end up using the adverb already. Now let's look at another example. Have you both already met? So again, you have used the adverb already. Now probably you are introducing your boyfriend to your friend, and then you realize that they have met already. So, well, they have been introduced before, maybe by someone else, but they have met much before than you expected them to be, right? So that is why you end up using the adverb already. Now we also use the adverb already to indicate surprise, like it's 12 o'clock already. Okay, so here you're pretty surprised. Maybe you wanted to leave from work, or probably you wanted to leave a party about 10 o'clock, but now when you saw the clock, you see that it's 12. So you are so surprised here, and that is why you end up using the adverb already. It's 12 o'clock already, okay? So that's how you use this. Now this brings me to the end of this lesson. Now it's time to test your knowledge, how much you've learned from this lesson. So do take a test, let me know how much did you score, and I'll be back with a new lesson soon. Till then, you take care and have a great day.